Hello everybody, this is Buddy Webb, Midland, Texas. I've got a little video I'm going to do for you today. It's based off a question I got off my YouTube channel where a guy was watching a video and he asked, he says, "What do you mean paid to get secret police identified?" And that's a fair question because not everybody's seen the 900 videos that I've posted, and so that's what this video is going to be about. And first thing I want to say is that I'm a lifetime supporter of law enforcement, and I understand that, they have a hard job and appreciate them and I support them. I'm also not so naive to believe that, that they're, that to put them on a pedestal of perfection and to think that we don't have some corrupt police. We do, statistically we have some that are probably serial killers, not saying these are serial killers, but I'm just saying there are some bad cops. And even with that said, it's my belief that the bad cops give the good cops a bad name. They do so much damage to the trust in the public. Every cop hater I ever met, it always comes back to some dirty cop that broke the law and did something wrong, and they turned in some citizen to a cop hater, and now that person hates all cops because of the actions of a few dirty cops, And so I think if you support law enforcement, then you should take a stand against police corruption. Let the good guys know that you have their back. We all know that if one police officer reports the crimes of another one, then they're vilified. Their life's placed in danger. They're probably missed promotions, and etc. Okay. What I'm showing you a picture of is one of my very first memes when I offered a reward to identify what I called the secret police. And this is interesting. The reason I posted this one because it shows I initially offered $100 reward. Okay, and almost as a tongue-in-cheek, as a joke, to show the absurdity of secret police. Okay, and we're going to talk about secret police here in a minute, and I'm going to explain to you how secret police are illegal. I mean, that's what they used in Nazi Germany, and during the Holocaust, and killed 6 million Jews. Secret police are not good. That's bad, and that's what we have here. Had here in Midland. Now they're identified, of course, and what I was showing on this side of this meme was the police report for 12912. Well, that's the timestamp when they were caught inside my home, and I was showing there ain't no police there, but I've got my camera, which they tried to disable. That's very important. They didn't plan on getting caught. I give them that much credit. They tried to disable the camera. They caught them covering up a capital murder attempt. But they accidentally started the camera and it caught them. Okay, that's what happened. And so now that here they're looking at long prison sentences, and so the only thing we can do, well, let's stop free press in America. And let's torture the crime victim. That's really what we're at. And I'm asking the question, which one's the DEA agent? Why would I ask that question? Well, the reason is because about 2 weeks before I'm ambushed and shot by somebody under my home, I contacted the Midland DEA and the El Paso DEA, and I reported a suspected tunnel at my house. Okay, and the phone records will show that. Their records, I'm sure, will show that. They didn't look. So some people have wondered if there's somebody at the DEA agent or DEA office that is taking calls, and then when a citizen like myself does the civic duty and reports crime, then they set them up to be murdered, because they're involved in the crimes. I mean, that's a good question. Who at the DEA office was involved in the premeditated capital murder attempt on my life after I reported crime to them? But come to find out, none of them are DEA agents. So anyway, that was just an old meme, one of my first ones. I later raised the reward offer to $2,000, and it stayed there for 6 years. Okay, so I did a real long write-up here. What do you mean, secret police? And it was Aaron Valenzuela, and he says, "Buddy, what do you mean the secret police to be identified?" And what a fair question. I did a long write-up, and explained that because it is a long story. But I broke that out like I do often on Facebook because it works that way. It works well. And I have a video, if you want to look it up on YouTube, called Names of the Secret Police. I call them out by name, by name, and so it can be verified, we know it's right. So I'm going to just go through what I did was take, that long write-up, and I broke it out, and then I took the proof pictures and added with it. And that's what we're going to go over, because it'll be this comment, that comment, that comment. We're going to start with this one. After I returned from the hospital from being ambushed and shot with my phone lines cut. And then I added this picture from my security camera, okay? And because this is me crawling out, the reason I crawled out is because they stole my cell phone and cut my home phone lines. I had no communications after I fell to the ground after being shot by surprise by somebody under my home with burglar alarms going off in the attic, okay? And the timestamp is 10:42, okay? And so we get the baseline on time. 10:42 is when I'm crawled out and then drove the 7-Eleven. And so then my second one here is I found pictures on my security cameras of police at or inside of my home, which wasn't surprising. This was after I returned from the hospital, and since it's expected for the police to be here. So I get back at the hospital. I didn't know what happened because I was ambushed and shot. I compared it to Kennedy, in Dallas. He's driving down the road one minute, next minute his head's blown off. He didn't know what happened. It's like, well, who shot you? Well, I don't know. I'm just riding in a car. That's like me. I'm just standing in my home, minding my own business. Burglar alarm's going to the attic. They shot me by surprise from the ground. That's why I didn't know what happened, And so, it was cold-blooded murder, except I didn't die, This picture also from my security cameras, 19 minutes later, there's the timestamp, and the first two police getting out of the cars. This is on video, okay? It took 6 years and a $2,000 reward to get them identified, even though I had them on video, and so you can just right off the back, that's why they're called secret police, because I had pictures of police. I couldn't get them identified. I'm going to explain that better here in a minute. I found pictures on my security camera of police at or inside my home, which wasn't surprising since it's expected for police to have been here, okay? So right here, this is an animated GIF, and it's rolling through the pictures in my bedroom, which is on my bedroom security camera. We'll watch that one more time, okay? And these are timestamped. This is about 3 o'clock in the morning. I'm in surgery around this time. And so here's all these police in there. And like I said, it wasn't surprising that police are in your house after a murder attempt, right? But what was surprising was there was no police report that I was given showing me police there. That's what caused the secret police. Because police can't just come in your home anytime they want to, okay? And so you can see here's April Chandler filling up a bag with the stolen evidence. And here in a minute, you're going to see Rosie Rodriguez leaned over right here. She's leaned over my nightstand. That's where my stolen cell phone was planted. I found it after I returned. Here she is, Rosie Rodriguez. She's a main player. April Chandler searching drawers right here. Okay, so these are the pictures I found on my cameras. And as I said, a couple times, not surprising the police in your home. What's surprising is I didn't have a police report showing police there. Okay. So a few weeks after I returned from the hospital, I requested all police reports for my own investigation, and I noticed that I had timestamp pictures of police here, but no police reports showing that police were ever here. Okay, so this is the cover letter from the Office of City Attorney. I did get the report for 12912. That's the one I showed a minute ago, and it didn't show any police here, and that's when the pictures were timestamped 12912. Okay, and they were withholding the one for 12812 the night of the murder attempt, and I didn't know it. I didn't find that out. I didn't get it till 7 years later. I'm gonna show you that here in a minute, but I'm gonna show you here. Here's the cover letter, April 16, 2012. Here's your first assistant city attorney, John Onemiller, and that's where that's when I had requested all police records, and they illegally withheld that police report. But that wasn't the only time they illegally withheld that police report. Okay, the one from the night of the murder attempt, 12812. Okay. So my next comment, I sent these pictures to the chief of police, mayor, city council, and even Texas Attorney General Greg Paxton, but I got no replies, so I finally nicknamed them the secret police and offered a reward to anybody that could identify them. Police are not allowed to sneak into private homes without a record, and I used to tell people this was the first secret police since Nazi Germany. The Gestapo was the name of the infamous secret police used during the Holocaust. Okay, that's what the Gestapo was, secret police. Interestingly, this was the first time in the history of America that a crime victim offered a reward to identify police that had been caught on camera in a capital murder attempt without a single news story in the nation. It's unprecedented lawlessness assisted by the American press, who has hidden these facts from the public. So, and you can bet that that's not an accident. That's intentional, on purpose, that our press has been intentionally hiding this story, which is unprecedented, never happened before in the history of America. They're hiding this from the public. They're not letting you know that we have a secret police gang that was caught on camera in a murder attempt, which is a danger to you and your family. Okay. What I'm showing you here, because what I just read was an email that I had sent, and I have the send to list over here, and here's the date, January 4, 2016, and here it went to District Attorney Laura Nodoff, okay? It went to our city council members, Lacey and Sparks, the then mayor, Morales, John Love, Dufford, I think he's still there, Hotchkiss, Robnett, he's still there for sure. Price Robinson was the former chief of police, Gary Painter, no longer alive, former sheriff, the New York Times, Ken Paxton, the Texas Attorney General, he was in the news recently, right? He took Trump's case to the Supreme Court. That's the same Paxton. Inspector General Michael Horowitz of the United States Inspector General, right? I was advised by U.S. Congressman Mike Conaway to contact him, okay? And then the Texas Rangers, the world famous Texas Rangers, that are supposed to, be a group of high integrity, right? And they also got this, okay? And then even the Texas Medical Board, okay? And so that's who all this email went to. $2,000 reward for corrupt police. Okay, and that's not popular, right? It's not, but it's the truth, because I'm the crippled crime victim living under the threat of death. And I've got pictures of police and I can't get them identified. And what I was saying is, this got ignored. That's what happened. That's really what's happened. It's ignored because if we arrest them, then how can they keep sneaking into homes and keep covering up murders, right? Don't you agree? If we follow the law and they're arrested for their crimes, then how can they keep getting away with these crimes? That's the point. In May of 2018, after 6 years of death threats, repeated break-ins to my home, and many people asking to order me to sell my home, Empire Private Investigations collected the $2,000 reward and identifies all 11 of the secret police and collects the $2,000 reward that I identified. It took 6 years before we got names to these pictures, okay? And so that is, once again, unprecedented. Should have been national headline news story. Secret police identified. There we go. Okay, and there's the first 2 that showed up. Here's the 9 that got caught in my bedroom after they tried to disable the camera. They thought they disabled the camera and accidentally started it and accidentally caught themselves. That's what messed them up in this premeditated murder attempt, was they accidentally started the camera. And they were in my house. And so Rosie Rodriguez and April Chandler right here, this is April Chandler, okay? Well, we recognized her because it's got a good picture. And Rosie Rodriguez, we recognized her. And we found out a couple years later, she was lifelong friends with my ex-wife. I'd filed divorce on 5 days for the murder attempts that's alleged to be involved in the shooting. And she's a main player. She's actually the one, and both of them were caught tampering with the evidence, lying on police reports, etc. I didn't put that in here, but there's other videos on that with proof videos. So this come from text message from Empire Private Investigations. I'm being sent that, and that's why I just copied and pasted it in here. Tony Dickey, he was a lieutenant with the Midland Police Department. Greg Chatwell, he was a sergeant. Greg Nelson. Marty Barrett was the crime scene investigator and a main player. He's the one who picked up my shotgun and checked in the evidence, but he didn't check in any empty shotgun shells. I made a big point of that because there would be an empty shotgun shell in that gun if I had shot myself, which did not happen, okay? And so they were saying I'd shot myself, which was a lie. It was a blatant, in-your-face, it was cover up of a home invasion murder attempt. I'm home minding my own business, and next thing you know, somebody breaks my home, shoots me. Looks like it might have been police that shot me. Chad Simpson, no longer alive. He died in December 2014. We're going to talk about that in a minute. Mike Naylor, he died 2 months before Simpson. 2 secret police are now dead, and the policeman's wife. Mark Gilliam, Michael Glick, John Woodward. He's a sheriff from a different county now, convicted felon. The first one that showed up here. We're going to talk about that in a minute, too. This is incredible. Can you imagine that the press has hidden this from you? You know, I mean, you know, not a single news story on this. In 2019, I was going over the records and I noticed the police report number, which I didn't have. So I sent in an online information request to the city of Midland for this report. And to my great surprise, it was the police report for 1/28/12, the night of the murder attempt. Okay, remember I showed you where I had requested all police records and they illegally withheld it. I didn't know it existed, you know. It was 7 years later before I found out there was a police report all along, you know, and you can see how I've gone through this thing line by line by line, put names on them, right? You know, this person did this person did that, and I've gone through this entire police report for the night of the murder attempt. Okay, what they did was, because I'm shot at 10:42 and it rolled over to 1/29/12, January 29th, they just put that in here on the back end of it. That's why when they sent me the police report for January 29th, 12, the date that they were time stamped in my home, there was no police in there. That's what I'm looking at. I'm going, I got the police report for this day that they're inside my home and there's no names on it, but their names were on here. But what we're going to find out is, in a minute, I'm going to show you, is that 6 of the 11 people that were caught on camera were not on that report. They omitted it. They falsified the police report that they illegally withheld for 7 years. Okay, so 6 of them, and you know, if it was one, oh, we just forgot it. We forgot 2. If we forget 2, oh, we just forgot it. Oh, our dum dum. You know, not your dum dum. No, it wasn't your dum dum. You intentionally, on purpose, omitted 6 names from that police report. You falsified the police report in a capital murder attempt. That's what happened. Okay. In December 2013, my attorney had subpoenaed all police records before the protective order hearing, but the police had illegally withheld this report from the night of the murder attempt and another one from 12/9/12. I'm going to show you that here in a minute. What I'm saying here is, not only did I did that request and ask for all the reports, and they didn't send the one for January 28/12. And once again, it's not, oh, our dum-dum, we forgot to send it. Oh, we made a mistake, buddy. No, you didn't make a mistake. You intentionally withheld that police report. And this is proof, because not only did I ask for it the first time in April 2012, but my attorney filed the paperwork, a judge signed off for it for subpoenaed, and you withheld it the second time. Okay, the police report for the night of the murder attempt. And why? Because 6 names are missing off of it because they falsified it, right? And so that's the blatant, in-your-face lawlessness going on. And basically what they're saying, or what's going on here, is if we want, we will break in your home, murder you, steal your home, steal your life insurance. And what are you going to do about it? You going to call the Texas Rangers? Ha ha. You going to call the FBI? Ha ha. You going to call News West 9? Ha ha ha. You going to call CBS 7? Ha ha ha. You going to call KMID? Ha ha ha. We got all the bases covered. We want to break in your home, murder you. We're going to do it to steal your life insurance and your property, because we want that underground facility in your backyard where that little girl was murdered. Okay, that's basically what's going on. So here is the subpoena. That's the proof. There's my attorney, Cynthia Clack. Okay, and so the subpoena was served and ordered the police to turn over that police record for the night of the murder attempt, which we didn't know existed, and they didn't do it. They withheld it a second time. Okay, the report for 12/9/12 was when my Vivint security system in my attic dispatched the police. Remember, this was the other police report that they withheld, okay, besides the one from the night of the murder attempt, 1/28/12. It showed they changed this alarm call to a warrant arrest call and then back to alarm call, and I suspect that is why they hid it in violation of the court order. It's more the blatant lawlessness that's going on, okay? And so what happened was I paid to install a Vivint security system in my attic because to prove, oh, he thinks people in his attic. Yes, there are people in my attic, Well, how come you don't have pictures of them? Because they're hacking my cameras, and they've got this secret police gang right here. They're murdering people in their homes. They killed the guy who lived here before me, They killed a little girl at an also party in 2010, These are very, extremely dangerous criminals, But this is one of the reports that was withheld that I didn't get until 7 years later from 12/9/12. So this is about 10 months after the murder attempt, okay? And I installed the Vivint alarm system to prove people in my attic, and the Vivint alarm system recognized somebody in my attic and dispatched the police to my home, okay? They did it a couple times. I finally had to turn off that system under threat of being fined from the city, what they called false alarms. But what was going on is the police were coming to my home and they were refusing to go up my attic and look. And then they would come back and they would defame my character on the police report, and he or paranoid schizophrenic. I was never diagnosed with that disease. That was a lie made up by April Chandler, Actually, I was cleared by mental health. It's just another blatant lie to cover up a murder attempt. What it was doing, destroying my life is what they've done. And I'm the crime victim that was reporting crime to them, but they're worried that, they were the one committing the crimes, And so, but I think the reason they withheld this report was here because the Vivint recognizes somebody in my attic and dispatches the police, so they decide to arrest me. And then somebody at the police department says, no, you can't arrest Buddy because his Vivint alarm system recognized somebody in the attic, because somebody's in the attic. I know somebody's in the attic. Somebody's in the attic all over this town. They got homes rigged all over the place. One of the people on that call was Michael Chandler, the husband of April Chandler. Okay, and that enters secret police April Chandler. Okay. The police report for 1/28/12 showed that 6 of the 11 police officers who had been caught on camera had their names omitted, which can't be an accident and is more proof of intentionally falsifying police records in this capital murder attempt. Well, how many people got fired for that, buddy? None. How many people got arrested for that? None. Right? How many more people have been murdered? We don't even know. And well, hasn't the public been warned? No, they haven't, right? The only people, the only person telling the public of what's really going on is me in these videos, and the press is hiding it, so it's just, unless you happen to hear about it, you don't have no idea what's really going on, And so here, what I'm going to show you in this spreadsheet, okay? Identified by the private investigator in 2018, all 11 of them that were caught on camera, okay? And you can see 2 of them are dead. The first one that shows up was a sheriff from a different county, okay? And so I listed the names out. Well, here's the police report I got in 2019, right, when I sent that report in. And what I found was none of these were listed on the police report, okay? You see that? So 6 names were omitted from the police report that were caught on camera, and 2 of them are dead, right? Some people are wondering if they wasn't murdered by the secret police, because secret police would be looking for, long prison sentences. Maybe they were going to snitch on the other ones, And they don't want the underground, homes and the prostitution parties and, and them other murders to be exposed. So maybe, Naylor and Simpson and even Sandra Simpson were all murdered by this crime ring, And so that's showing that. More importantly, this police report that I got for 1/28/12, what it showed is 5 police officers were time-stamped being at or in my home, and they wasn't seen arriving on the camera. I'm going to show you more of that here in a minute, more evidence or proof of that. That's very important, because that's what told me they come in from the underground trapdoor entrance the ex-wife had already told me about, and from where I was shot from. The evidence shows, where I was shot, and we know I wasn't shot with my gun. I mean, absolute undeniable proof shows that, This was the second entry to my house, okay? And this was going to be the only known entry, because they were hiding the police report on the first entry when they were staging the crime scene, and they accidentally started the camera. They never planned on getting caught. They were in here staging the crime scene. Them pictures you saw, they tried to disable. The log file shows they tried to disable that camera and accidentally started it, and that's how come this is it has all come out because we got them pictures. It was a miracle. Is what it was. The only person that was on the second entry that was on the first entry was Rosie Rodriguez. Okay, and that right there is the lifelong friend of the ex-wife that's alleged to be involved in the shooting. Okay, her former boyfriend Arthur Weld said that he overheard her planning my murder with some corrupt police to steal life insurance, and I've got a document where he posted that. He's been saying that for 8 years. More importantly, I noticed that 5 police officers, Davis, Dickey, Chatwell, Angel, and Hale, were time-stamped as being at or inside my home, but they were not seen arriving on the front security cameras. The other doors of my home were secured with extra locks due to the crimes going on here, and this told me they came into my home from the now-removed trapdoor entrance that the ex-wife had already told me about and from where I'd been ambushed and shot. Okay. These front cameras on my home that saw Woodward and Naylor arrive, it took 6 years to get them identified. That's on video. They were disabled at 11:22. Okay, before they were disabled, 5 officers were at or in my home. Davis, Dickey, Chatwell, Angel, and Hale are at or in my home. Okay, but we know for a fact that Tony Dickey, Lieutenant Tony Dickey, was in my home at 11:05. Okay, way before the camera was disabled and he wasn't seen arriving coming in the front door. That's what told me he came in from the underground trapdoor entrance. And what he says here, the dispatcher logs it. No one in the house inside, and lots of odd things like booby traps. Well, one, there was no booby traps. If there was, it'd be a booby trap in evidence. That was a lie by Tony Dickey. Well, did Tony Dickey get fired? No. I think he retired with full benefits, right? And based on this evidence, it looks like it was police that tried to murder me in my home, and I suspect they were trying to justify this due to the burglar that I'd unknowingly trapped in my guest bathroom. Okay. And so on the day of the murder attempt, I'd come home. I've been reporting crimes here for 14 months. I come home, I recognize somebody had been in my house once again. If these crimes are going on and going on and going on, okay, they still go on. And so I get this idea to tie wire my spare door shut. One of the reasons I did is because the ex-wife had told me there was a trap door here, and I didn't know where it was at, and I was trying to compartmentalize my home. I got 3 bedrooms. I don't use 2 of them. I got 2 bathrooms. I only use 1 bathroom, so I tie wired them doors shut. And what happened was there was a burglar in the house that got trapped in this bathroom right here. I'm in the bathroom taking a picture down the hallway and into the living room from right there. Okay, that's what I'm showing. And what here at the top of the door when I returned from the hospital, I found pry marks. Okay, they wasn't there, when I shot, so that told me I had trapped a burglar in that bathroom that day of the murder attempt. Okay, and so even the nurse documented me at the hospital telling Rodriguez, Detective Rodriguez, one, sirens are going off. I was saying burglar alarms going off in the attic. They kept going off. Okay, so I was shot during a home invasion. Okay, and now homeowners all over the place reported people in the attic, and there's a voice recorder that ended up being stolen. The voice recorder recorded the burglar alarms going off in the attic. But then it says the tie wire. I was tie wiring my doors shut. Okay, and so I had tie wired my doors shut to because I was trying to compartmentalize my house. I trapped a burglar, and that might have been why these police that were under my home decided to try to kill me. Because think about it, they're working with the burglars and the underground parties and the prostitution and all that. If they arrest the burglar in my bathroom, it exposes the tunnels and the underground homes, the oil show parties, the murders and all that, right? They can't arrest the burglar because they're working with the burglars. And that's when I think these police, not the good ones, these corrupt ones that falsified police reports and all this, right? The secret police that hid for 6 years, they decided to cut my phone lines and kill me. That's what it looks like. We don't have proof who pulled the trigger, but I mean, we got plenty of names and evidence here to make arrests and find out who did, because every one of them could be charged, right? And proof shows I wasn't shot my gun. That means somebody loaded their gun, came to my house and shot me, and now we know 5 police officers were under my home. To be more specific, former Martin County Sheriff John Woodward and the late Midland Deputy Mike Nader were seen arriving in front of my home at 11:01 p.m., 19 minutes after I'd crawled out and left. Remember that I was shot with my phone lines cut, and that is why I was forced to crawl out. And it's clear that I was supposed to die. This was planned murder. The long withheld police report showed that MPD Lieutenant Dickey was inside my home at 11:05 p.m. 4 minutes later, but he wasn't seen arriving. And that's what I was showing a while ago. Here, this is time stamped 11:01. That's when Woodward and Naylor arrived. 4 minutes later, this is time stamped 11:05. That's when Dickey was inside my house and he wasn't seen arriving. That's how I know that Dickey came into my house from the now removed trap door where I shot from. I believe that the concrete was poured while I was in the hospital. Okay. They covered it up because it was used in a capital murder attempt, right? Which it connected the tunnels that are said to be here, and then the underground home in the backyard, 25-foot deep, 3-bedroom, etc. I suspect it was Lieutenant Dickey that let out the trap burglar. That makes the most sense from my bathroom. And at 11:03 p.m., MPD Officer April Chandler was at the hospital filling out an emergency detention form where she wrote, "Due to paranoia, Mr. Webb caused himself to suffer a gunshot wound. She was blaming me for criminals breaking into my home and shooting me." You can see that she started to write that I shot myself, but scribbled that out as it was a direct lie since I hadn't shot myself. Okay, evidence shows I hadn't shot myself. I show that all the time. The size of bellows are 2.5 sizes different in my gun. Plastic. Lisa Rogers says I shot with 45. All kinds of evidence shows I was not shot with my gun. Okay, well, April Chandler is filling out this form. Here's her name. Okay, April Chandler. At 11:03, as I said, and there she writes at the bottom, Mr. Webb showed paranoia to the extent and she started to write shot. See the SHO, right? He shot, and then she goes, "Oh no, that's a lie. I'll go to prison for that." So she scribbles that out and says, "He caused himself to suffer a gunshot wound to the ankle." So she was blaming me. And what I really believe is this was Mr. Webb's fault because he trapped a burglar in his guest bathroom, and we couldn't arrest the burglar because we're working with the burglars in the underground facilities and the forced prostitution murders, and that would expose that. So it was Buddy's way. It's Buddy's fault. If he wouldn't have trapped a burglar during a home invasion, then he wouldn't have been shot. It's his fault that we had to break into his home and shoot him. That's what she was saying, right? Can y'all see that? I think it's easy to see, right? The irony is that I've been reporting burglars to police, but they were working with the burglars and aware of the tunnels and underground homes here. If they arrested the burglar in my bathroom, then it would expose the $1 million underground homes, the murder of the little girl at the 2010 oil show party. Remember, I believe her remains were found outside of Midland, 2013, and the murder of Mike Lawhon, the previous owner of my home that died the week before the 2008 oil show started, and all the other many homes rigged with hidden access like mine. I mean, this is big. All across the country, people reporting people in the attic. Remember that burglar alarms were going off in my attic when I was shot, and now homeowners all over Midland, Odessa, Texas, and other states are documenting, reporting people in the attic. I saw a young Hispanic guy in my attic. Okay, it's a can of worms. It looks like that is why they tried to murder me in my home. I played this many times. We'll play it again.
So she burned down her home to get rid of someone who she
Carlsbad, New Mexico.
Nope. Complainant saying she can hear someone up in the attic. She smells cigarette smoke.
Midland, Texas.
Her family, they're going to be waiting out front.
Odessa, Texas.
Caller stating that he heard someone in the attic.
610 Jeter. Complainant's going to be a 7-year-old male. Say he can hear yelling and fighting. His mother's in the attic. He can hear her being assaulted.
Called her crazy. 1096.
It was reported that he heard voices in the attic.
I spoke to Jennifer, a real nice lady, and just terrified to death. I recorded her on the phone, just bawling, saying, I'm so freaking scared, And then when I spoke to her and I'm telling her this is going on all over the place, she's like, really, they were going to set her up for a CAT scan. She told me the police were laughing at her when they come over, and multiple times police were called for people in her attic. That was only one of them. And notice the modus operandi there is for them to label, falsely, intentionally label the crime victim crazy, life-destroying lies against the crime victim that's doing their civic duty in reporting crime to the police. And the problem here is not all police, but these corrupt police involved in these crimes of breaking into these homes, rigging private homes, hidden access, people in the attic, burglary, theft, murder, etc. Like, stealing life insurance, stealing real estate, etc. Last year, I went to the FBI office under the request of Homeland Security, and while I was telling the FBI duty agent my story, he pulls up the picture on his phone showing the pry marks from the top of the inside door jamb of my guest bathroom where the trapped burglar was. It was easy to tell that he already knew about the burglar being trapped without me telling him, and I think that is how they've tried to justify shooting me by surprise inside my own home with my phone lines cut. Okay, that picture I showed you of the pry marks, he pulled that up on his phone while I'm talking to him, right? And I didn't tell him about it. He knew about it. And I think that's where they've tried to justify, it's Buddy's fault. Buddy caused himself. We had to break in his home and shoot him and try to murder him because Buddy trapped a burglar during a home invasion, And, that's really how absurd that is, that criminal mindset. These criminals breaking my home, stealing services from me, terrorizing me, threatening my life. I'm calling the police, reporting crimes, and they're part of the crime gang committing the crimes against innocent homeowners. Okay? Here I'm showing this picture 2 weeks before this concrete is poured behind Home Depot in my house is this direction, Home Depot's that direction, is I showed, we was back here with Home Depot, and I showed them where I believe a suspected tunnel was going from there to my home, used for the underground oil show parties and for the murders or whatever. And so I'm showing an inset on there. Ricky Ronaldo used to live in my house. He said, when we lived there, me and my brother used to go in the tunnels under it. That's a screenshot I got. And what I'm showing you here, you can see easily where the ground was cut, where I believe the tunnel was going. That's where I showed Homeland. You can see them over here pouring concrete. 2 weeks after I showed them where I believe the tunnel was going, and it goes directly at my house, into my backyard, and you can look that up on Google Maps. Looks like there's one of them underground homes here that multiple people have said here. One of them was confirmed by a candidate for sheriff. Joe Lozano said our former sheriff, Painter, used to hang out down there. I left out some of the facts here to keep this short, but it's important to know that it's never been explained why a sheriff from a different county was at my home minutes after a murder attempt and his name was not on the police report. I believe that John Woodward is now a convicted felon, and it makes sense that he was also under my home when I shot, as there's $1 million underground home in the backyard. Okay, and so the first person to show up at my house 19 minutes after I crawled out from being ambushed and shot, my phone lines cut, was this guy right here. He was the sheriff of Martin County. We're in Midland County. He was the sheriff of a whole different county in Texas, and he shows up at my house first, right? Well, now, that's why I'm saying it looks like he's a convicted felon. He pleaded guilty to assault, and this was only in 2019, right? And so I believe, and the one following was Mike Naylor, and he's no longer alive. Midland Sheriff Deputy Mike Naylor, okay? And two of the secret police, his name was omitted too, by the way, and two of the secret police whose names had been omitted from that long withheld police report, Midland Sheriff Deputy Mike Naylor and MPD K9 police officer Chad Simpson, both died 2 months apart. It was alleged that Naylor died in the line of duty in October 2014, and Simpson was alleged to have murdered his wife and killed himself in December 2014, 2 months later. The question has been asked if they were silenced by some of the other secret police. And, and see, once again, that ought to be the headline news story right here, that these secret police, now two of them are dead, right? He dies in October 2014, and supposedly in the line of duty. Mike Naylor, he's married to a woman from my hometown, Hobbs, New Mexico. Okay, Chad and Sandra Simpson right here, they're both from Hobbs, New Mexico, my hometown. There's a big link back to my hometown, right? This 2 months later, Chad Simpson, K9 police officer, is alleged to be involved in the actually, his picture is the guy wearing the Midland K-9 police jacket, and he was identified by Empire Private Investigations in 2018, and that was 4 years after this, after he is alleged to have murdered her and killed himself. And that's where, that's the story, is that he murdered his young wife and killed himself and left 2 babies as orphans. A lot of people are going, no, Chad didn't do that. They worked hard to get them babies. They love them babies. He would never do that, and so I wondered, even if that house where they lived in over there didn't have a tunnel under it, was rigged and somebody murdered them to silence them. Maybe Simpson or Naylor, they were going to report these underground homes here, and them other secret police didn't want them to do that, And there are a lot of maybes there, but we need some law enforcement to investigate. Make this even scarier. Some of these secret police who were caught tampering with evidence and falsifying police reports are still police. I'm going to show you this one. There.
On the police reports I've seen many times, she's 250 or 5250, and that's the secret police caught inside my home. There's no record of her in my house. She's the last person to have the stolen voice recorder per police reports, and she's the one that slandered or libeled me on police reports, called me a paranoid schizophrenic when I wasn't diagnosed with that, and crime after crime after crime. It's 11/26, 2018, 11/31.
And so that was a 2018 from a police scanner, April Chandler's overheard. I heard her just within the last month or two. She's still a police officer. She's the one that falsified the police reports. She labeled me a paranoid schizophrenic when I wasn't diagnosed with that. I was actually cleared by mental health at the hospital. As I was saying there, she's the one that found the voice recorder, said it was checked into evidence when it wasn't. It was checked into evidence about 2 years later after I made a big point of the police still in evidence. And she's still a police officer. That was point. And I also heard that Rosie Rodriguez was still a law enforcement officer, And so I don't know how many of them other secret police still officers, but what we know for a fact is they tamper with evidence, they lie on police reports, and they were caught in a capital attempted murder, right? And they've never been held to account because of what's going on. The press won't report this story, won't warn the public, So obviously they probably done it 100 times to 100 different innocent crime victims, most likely people that, did their civic duty and reported crime to the police. And I was told by my doctor that I was dying. And that was recently. It is a stage 5 kidney disease. Okay, obviously I've been poisoned. I've well documented this chemical smell that they placed in my house because they have full access to my house. And they're trying to kill me. They're trying to cover up all these crimes and murders. And trying to stop these criminals. And I'm just show you one of the many death threats that I got. Lance Eggleston. He writes me on Facebook. He says, remember, we know who you are. We know where you sleep. We have access to your residence at all times. No one will ever believe your story. We will come again. And I'm like, I don't understand who you are, Lance. Are you a good guy, a bad guy, cop, gangster? Are you wanting truth and justice or silence, murder, and more crime? I had no idea who this guy was, He says, you will be silenced, not if, but when. And I wrote back and I said, when are you going to murder me, Lance? And I print screened it and sent it to the chief police at the time, Robinson, who later retired, of course, It's like a revolving door around here, and but while the crimes continue, and I posted on Facebook, and it probably saved my life, that I got a copy of that, but that's only one out of many death threats. They've tried to terrorize me from my home, and because they're wanting this underground home in the backyard, they want to cover up these crimes. As I said, that little girl was murdered in 2010, and my friend Angie told me about the little girl murdered at the 2010 oil show party, believed to be held in an underground home in the backyard. And then Mike Lawhon, he died the week before the 2008 oil show started. So anyway, now you know who the secret police are. Once again, I want to stress this. I'm a lifelong supporter of police. We ought to be. If you support the police, stand up against police corruption. The good guys need to know we have their back. Share this video. Let's hold them to account and protect other innocent homeowners. But anyway, Midland, Texas.